Opinions expressed on this radio program do not necessarily reflect the views of this radio station.
Todd L. Levitt.
Todd L. Levitt.
Todd and Craig, good to hear you guys.
Todd L. Levitt.
This is Attorney Todd L. Levitt.
Honestly, you could not be any more spot on.
Now, from the Black Diamond Group mothership in the studios of 98.5 UPS, the Todd L. Levitt Law Show.
Welcome to the Todd L. Levitt Law Show. Good morning, good evening, and good night. I'm yours truly, Attorney Todd L. Levitt, broadcasting and podcasting in the middle of the mitten in a beautiful green nutrient field with birds chirping and deer. I mean, planes flying overhead, crickets, dragonflies, all the insects on planet Earth together with all the raccoons. And I mean, this is just all the bucks and deer and does. And opening day for Youth Hunt, by the way, I think is either taking place this weekend. I believe it is. But I'll have to double check with Craig Russell, the muscle, the hustle. Without further ado, he's the dankiest, gassiest human I know. Craig Russell, the muscle, the hustle. And by the way, he's endorsed as the top radio personality by the one and only Taylor Swift and all the Swifties. Craig Russell, the muscle. What an endorsement. How you doing, Craig?
I'm fan-flippantastic. How are you, Todd?
I couldn't be better. I am not in God's country this week. I am actually in a field outside somewhere in Isabella County. That's all I'm going to say.
A green nutrient field, if I remember correctly.
It is a green nutrient field, but
there you go.
I don't think you could hear anything other than this plane flying overhead that I believe is fertilizing some farm fields, but I think it's too late in the season for that. Yeah, it would be way too late. So
I would think.
I think it's just someone's doing flight lessons overhead. I don't know.
Todd, how are you, buddy?
I could not be better. I'm turning it and burning it and churning it. What a great week of law at Levitt Law Firm. I want to make a huge announcement. We have hired, I call him a first-round draft pick in any type of draft, be it NBA, NFL, you name it. His name is Chris Breslin. No relation to the Breslin Center in East Lansing, but Christopher Breslin, CMU student, member of the Sigma Alpha Epsilon fraternity. He is in the process of taking the LSAT and going to law school. But what an amazing, intelligent young man. I'm so lucky that he reached out to Levitt Law Firm last year. Here's a young man who literally just contacted my law firm by email and phone call last year, asking for an opportunity to just shadow us. Come into the office. He didn't want to be paid. He just wanted to learn. And I said to him, look, Chris, I have no problem with that. We kept in touch. We met a few times. He came in. He went back to Metro Detroit for the summer. He worked at a law firm in Southfield. I called him up. He had called me. I said, Chris, you're coming to work for us. He now works for Levitt Law Firm. So Jenna, Ashley, Samantha, we want to, and on behalf of myself, we want to welcome Chris Breslin to Levitt Law Firm. We hope that once he goes on to law school and graduates, he comes back and works for Levitt Law Firm. After 2 days, I already offered him a job, Craig. That's how outstanding he was. No, literally.
No,
literally.
I know. And you know what's awesome? You know what is awesome? You went to CMU, and you have hired how many CMU students as law clerks over the years? How many?
Probably close to a dozen.
Yeah.
And all but 2 went on to law school and are practicing attorneys.
You know what?
Right now.
But that's great, though, man. That is great. How you give back and how you help out those kids who are. This is what they're trying to do with their lives, and you understand that and realize it and give them an opportunity. I think that's great. I really like that.
Look, it's all about giving back. I mean, my story. I'm not shy about it. I've talked about it on the radio. I was raised by a single mother. No father. He left us when I was 1. My sister was 3. Then he passed away. We hardly knew him. No child support. I didn't know any lawyers. I just knew I wanted to be an attorney. I had tunnel vision. I went to college until I was almost 30 years of age. I'm going to be 60. I got out of law school in 1992. I worked 2 to 3 jobs. I was at the extreme poverty level most of my college years into law school, just working, going to school. I was in a fraternity, tunnel vision, no vehicles breaking down, blowing engines, flat tires, no money, couch diving. Thank goodness Michigan had 10-cent bottle returns because after parties, I got to tell you, after parties, I'm not shy about this, I was collecting cans and bottles back in the 80s, turning them in for money so I could eat.
Yep.
And, here's the end, Craig. There was always a handful of individuals who came along and did things and opened doors for myself, never asked for anything in return, just out of the kindness of their human hearts. I mean, I feel blessed. I was blessed to have these people come into my life. Elizabeth and John Hanson, professors at CMU, come to mind with Grandma Mary. And besides my own mother, my sister always supported me through school. But just individuals, professors, and other individuals. But I never had, the only lawyer who ever assisted me at an early age was Jack Bain. Judge Bain, Big Daddy Danny Bain, one of my closest friends. His father, very prominent attorney. He came along and just opened doors for me. And some other individuals out there, Judge Fred Mester, Judge Denise Langford Morris, Judge Levy from Southfield. I had a lot of people who were very kind as when I became an attorney and did things for me. But Chris's story is my story. It's his story parallels my story. And, he's created his own opportunity by reaching out to get in contact with my office. In 30 years, that's happened twice. And how could I not give him an opportunity? So we're just stoked to have him at the law firm. But so he'll be coming on the show, Chris Breslin. We have attorney Bill Conklin, Craig, back in the mothership.
Yes, back after a 1 week hiatus.
Joining us. Bill Conklin is by far, other than Mike Nichols, one of the smartest lawyers I know. Bill, I like to call him William. It sounds more professional, doesn't it? But Bill's my fraternity brother. He's your fraternity brother. We have our own fraternity. We rushed you. You're a pledge now, Craig. So
nice.
We're going to call you Pledge. What's the Animal House name you took?
Bluto.
Bluto.
I'm going to be Pledge Bluto.
Yeah, so, and Bill's the Rush chairman. I'm social chairman. But, no, Bill's coming on the show. Next week we have, get this, a probate wills and trust attorney.
Oh, good.
For the listeners out there.
Nice.
So for all you listeners out there who may be thinking about, do I need a will? Do I have a will? It's outdated. Do I have a trust? Do I need estate planning? What happens when someone becomes deceased to all my personal and real property? How should I set things up to avoid probate and taxes? Well, Jackie Langwith is coming on the show, and she's with Denise Porlicella and Johanna Stevens over there downstate practicing. So we're happy to have Jackie come on the show. But Craig, who do we open up the show with this week?
Well, we pulled a oldie but a goodie, a classic out, AC/DC Thunderstruck Thunder. But I have it on good authority that you actually wanted to open the show with something else. What was that something else you wanted to open the show with?
Well, I opened up that show because Jenna, we love Jenna, right? You know
Sure.
Jenna.
Oh, yeah.
Jenna's father, Rob Woodruff, great man up there in the Prescott area. I'm told by Jenna that AC/DC is one of his favorite groups, and he's a great father, great guy.
Sure.
His daughter's a great young lady. I mean, you know. And so we thought we'd play AC/DC for everybody up there in Prescott. My brother-in-law owns Mikey's Pizza in Whittemore and Hale, you know. But anyhow, I wanted to send out a song to all the lovers out there, Craig. And you're a lover. Bill Conklin's a lover. I'm a lover. This next song is from the 80s. I used to go down to Miami to see some of my cousins, and when I came back to Central, to the fraternity, Sig Epps, and I was social chairman and you know, controlled all the music at our parties. This is somebody who I played nonstop, and nobody ever heard of him in Michigan yet. Like, where'd you get that sound, Todd? So without further ado, this goes out to all the lovers out there.
Stevie B.
Stevie B.
I remember when we first started, you came to me and you were broken hearted. I took you in and wiped all your tears away. I gave you loving more than any other gave. Don't you know I'm the one and I love you, girl. I don't care what they say, you know you are my world. Come back home, you're the one who loves you more and more. So you see that it was me you were searching for. You're searching for.
See, now I got to know Stevie B in the early 90s when I started my radio career with the Postman song. Remember that one? Because I love you.
That's a great song.
Yeah, that's a great song too. But
Can you play a little bit of that?
Stevie B, the Postman song?
Yeah.
How could I not?
I got your letter from the postman just the other day. So I decided to write you this song, just to let you know exactly the way I feel, to let you know my love's for real, because I love you, and I'll do anything. I'll give you my heart, my everything, because I love you. I'll be right by your side, to be your light, to be your guide.
It's just so smooth. That Florida Miami sound from the late 80s, early 90s. Him and Glenn Medeiros, that was the other one. She ain't worth it. The girl ain't worth it. Oh, that was all great stuff back there. That.
And by the way, speaking of music, Linkin Park just announced a new lead singer to take over. Well, nobody can replace Chester. Let's just say that. Just
not
like,
replacing.
Just like Adam Lampert can never replace Freddie.
No.
Come on.
No, but is a new lead singer for Linkin Park. That's right. Yep.
Yeah, it's a female, and you know what? She's freaking fantastic.
Emily Armstrong. Yeah, I know. It's Chester's widow actually tweeted out like a fire and a heart emoji when they announced it. That she, I guess that means she approves, because I guess she's awesome.
Yeah, it's hard to replace a singer when you have a favorite group that you love. I mean, I love AC/DC, Stevie B. Now we're talking about Linkin Park, but we have a huge show. Attorney Bill Conklin is in the mothership, and Bill brings the heat. Would you agree that?
Oh yeah. I mean, he tells it like it is.
Oh man, he
tells it like
heat.
it is.
Honestly, I feel cheated in life because I met Bill a few years back, and I missed out on like 40 years of friendship where we could have just been turning it and just destroying it out there, going on vacations, spring break. I would like to ask Bill's wife and my wife permission for the three of us to take spring break down to Florida because we never got to go as a group.
Well, I mean, you probably should ask, but at least you've met him and he's part of your life now. You don't want to dwell on the bad things in the past.
It's not good enough. I need spring break Daytona Beach 1985 with Bill Conklin, okay?
Yeah, okay.
I'm just saying. Because I was there in 1985-86. I saw Eddie Money in concert at Daytona Beach on the beach.
You might be a little old for that lifestyle. I'm just saying. Just saying.
No, you might be a little old. Okay, whatever. This guy, I'm going down swinging like that, okay?
But speaking of Attorney William Conklin, we will be bringing him on the show. We'll get to that segment coming up next on the Todd L. Levitt Law Show.
This is Attorney Todd L. Levitt here to tell you about my favorite one and only, the only one I go to, M66 Cannabis Company, recreational dispensary right here in the great state of Michigan, central northern Michigan, located at 3023 20 Mile Road, Beaverton, Michigan, between Big Rapids and Mount Pleasant, Michigan. M66 Cannabis Company is frickin' fantastic, folks, from pipes to edibles to flower, 24 different strains. The staff, all locally hired, general manager, knowledgeable, community-oriented, family-owned. Be sure to check out M66 Cannabis Company, Beaverton, Michigan.
Hey, this is Mike Messina, general manager at M66 Cannabis Company out of Barrington, Michigan, off of M66. And I want to personally invite you down to M66 Cannabis Company to come peruse our wide selection of different products, 18 different strains of flower, 29 different types of cartridges, and so much more. We've got everything that you could possibly need and a very well-trained and compassionate staff there to help you find exactly what you're looking for.
That's M66 Cannabis Company, located at 3023 20 Mile Road. That's 3023 20 Mile Road. My favorite recreational dispensary here in Michigan. Be sure to stop in and tell the folks when you get there you heard it right here on the Todd L. Levitt Law Show. Welcome back to the Todd L. Levitt Law Show, turning it and burning it in the Black Diamond Group mothership. Coming back strong once again, Craig Russell, the muscle, the hustle, with AC/DC.
in your green nutrient field with that. Is there a deer out there trying to like mate with you? What's going on out there, man?
What? No, I don't have any perfume on today, and usually I wear Drakkar cologne, by the way, Craig. No, there's a buck. I'm in a field. I don't know what this buck is doing.
He's getting some ideas.
Yeah,
is what he is.
I think he's a 6-point. I can see him in the ferns because I am recording literally outside. I don't know what he's doing.
I don't either.
Can you hear him?
I heard him earlier. Could hear him earlier. Can't hear him now, but.
Yeah, I don't know if it's too early to be calling for the does.
I would think.
He's not scraping his horns.
way too
Bill,
early.
do you have any idea what he's doing?
No, he's just smelling you, and he just, basically knowing that's a foreign scent in an area that usually doesn't smell humans.
He wants some of the Todd Levitt aura is what he wants. That's what
not
he
at
wants.
all.
He has to listen to the show.
Enough of me. We have attorney Bill Conklin back in the mothership. Bill, it was such a pleasure.
Hey,
Yeah, Bill.
Woo! Welcome back.
I'm honored to be back.
Just for a refresher course for the listeners, how long have you been a lawyer now, Bill?
45 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. And you're also, is it fair to say you're in the oil and gas industry also? You've been working in that
Yeah, I've been
industry
doing
as well?
oil and gas since 2013. I did it in Pennsylvania, down in Texas. And basically what we do is the search to find out who owns what mineral rights, and then we report it to the oil and gas companies, and they use that before they drill.
I'm all for drilling for oil and gas, natural gas. I have a lot of clients and we have mutual clients, you and I, Bill, who are directional drillers, mostly men, but a few women. I'm all for exploration. I mean, I'm for green energy, solar. I mean, obviously, the world is going in a different direction, but there's a lot of fuel under the earth, and I'm all for extracting it. In fact, I've said for years, listen, my ancestors, they didn't think about leaving me any resources. So while I'm alive on Mother Earth, I'm just going to say it. I'm going to use as much natural resources as I can as I'm walking the earth. Okay, there you go. I said it. All right.
Yeah. Well, Todd, I got to tell you that most people up here in the north don't know the facts, and they have an opinion, but they are not there, and they don't know the truth. The truth is, and I'll give you a snippet from advice I got. You're a lawyer. You have a duty to tell someone what's right when they are wrong. Therefore, there's more oil in West Texas than all of Saudi Arabia, and it's between 1.5 miles and 2.5 miles deep.
Wow.
And
are we drilling
fracking,
for it? Are we going after it?
Oh yeah. They're drilling those 10,000, 12,000 feet drilling wells all day long. And fracking, if you really get to know fracking and you're next to someone who knows what they're doing, fracking, the water next door is as clean as Michigan's water. So they don't know what they're talking about when they say they're against fracking. They don't understand it.
As I said, I'm for the industry. Listen, we talk about it every week on the show, right, Craig? We love the outdoors. We love natural resources. We love to hunt. We love to fish. We love the woods. We like to hike, side-by-side bike. We boat, hunt, you name it. And I'm also, this is just my personal opinion, we don't talk politics on the show, but I'm for, those resources that are below the earth to extract them, Bill, so that we can utilize those resources while we are here on planet Earth.
Exactly. Well, I don't want to turn this into an energy. Do you know how much it costs, energy-wise, to build a battery for these electric cars? And they're concerned about carbon. Everybody needs to do their research, and then they'll say this carbon stuff and this electric vehicle stuff is a hoax. It's a 100% hoax. If they're trying to save the planet. That's not the purpose. Right.
But no, it's good to have you on the show, Bill. And, we definitely support the industries out there. And we have a lot of hardworking men that I know that, these are some of the hardest working people out there that spend all day on these rigs. And, their bodies are beat up. They leave their families for months at a time just so we can have, the natural resources to fuel our homes and cars and everything that we utilize. So, we appreciate them. But hey, Bill, and we appreciate you, Bill Conklin. So you were on the show a couple weeks ago. We said it was part one. You were going to come on last week, but we couldn't work it out to have you on. We're honored to have you back on the show. And we were talking about recovery and a lot of issues pertaining to recovery and people getting the necessary treatment they need, correct?
That's correct. I think, Todd, as you and I have discussed before, I don't think enough energy, education goes in when someone gets a first drunk driving. They should be told without any hesitation, if you get a second drunk driving, even if it's an impaired, your driving privileges are revoked and you cannot get them back typically, as you and I both know, for 2, probably 3 years, because it's a year after your probation is ended. So if you get convicted, you're on probation for a year. That means you can't apply for your own driving privileges with the Secretary of State until your 3rd year. That is a tough penalty. But if you understood that when you got your first drunk driving, these people it would be death before they ever got behind the wheel of a car after having 1 beer, much less 2. They'd say, no, I can't afford it. I can't risk losing my driving privileges.
And one of the things we talked about a few weeks back was, as a defense attorney of 30 plus years representing thousands and thousands of men and women who are charged with some type of drinking and driving offense, the fact that your CPL, your ability to exercise your Second Amendment rights, is attached to a first offense drunk driving when it had nothing to do with possessing a gun or rifle or anything of that nature, and that therefore you're going to lose it for a period of time. There's such a conflict in the law in my mind as an attorney. Why is that? I mean, Bill, I'm just putting you on a spot. How do you feel about that? Like, what's your position on that?
I don't agree with that one at all, because it violates basically due process. You should have notice in a hearing, and then there's got to be a nexus, in other words, a connection between the drinking and driving behind a motor vehicle, using a motor vehicle, and what makes the state believe that now you're going to use alcohol relating to a gun. It doesn't follow.
It does
that
not.
Is one of those.
Right. Mm-hmm. No, sorry to interrupt you. It's unconstitutional. I don't know why
it totally
hasn't
is.
Been it really is, because you have a Second Amendment right, and therefore, look, you could, if you get a retail fraud, an open-end tax, minor possession, other types of misdemeanors, the law doesn't, if you have a CPL, a legal right to have a concealed permit license, you don't receive a letter from the state indicating, hey, by the way, because you pled guilty, you now have to forfeit your constitutional right to possess your handgun. It makes no sense. That doesn't mean you can't own a gun. It means you cannot possess a weapon with a CPL permit. So a first offense drunk driving, it's gone. You lose your right. Same thing with a commercial driver's license. You could be in your own automobile, not working over the road, or whether you work locally as a truck driver, or for whatever reason you have a CDL, a commercial driver's license, get a first offense impaired drinking and driving offense, and you're going to lose your ability to earn a living. You're going to lose your CDL. And yet, when you got pulled over, you weren't in a work vehicle. You were in your personal vehicle. It has nothing to do with that commercial work vehicle, yet the government takes away your right to earn a living. So those are the two issues as an attorney over the 30 plus years that I've been practicing that I have the biggest issue with, that it's so wrong. And as much as I complain about it, there's no traction to correct that anywhere, Bill.
Well, exactly. This is my understanding of what the issue is, Todd. For those holding a concealed pistol license, and operating while under the influence charge presents a problem because the law prohibits carrying a concealed weapon while under the influence of alcohol. So let's say you're carrying at the time you're stopped for a drinking and driving offense. The prohibition includes if you have a BAC of a .02 or more, they can revoke your CPL license because you were carrying at the time you were driving under the influence, or if you're walking down the street and you do something bizarre to bring the attention of the police to you and they ask you to take a BAC and they find out that you're carrying a concealed weapon and it's more than .02, that also brings jeopardy to your CPL license.
But I'm
and I don't see
right
the connection.
now. I understand the difference between what I'm discussing and the example that you just provided. Yes, there is an actual charge for operating while intoxicated, possessing a weapon. There is an actual statute for that. It's forfeiture of the gun, and there's other penalties as well. That I can understand. Most gun owners and CPL permit holders are very responsible individuals, and so I don't see that too often. The cases I'm referring to is when somebody does not have a handgun on their person at the time they're stopped, arrested, charged, and potentially convicted of, operating under the influence of some type of liquor or alcohol. So I have a problem with that. I understand if you possess the weapon at the time you were intoxicated. I understand that part of the law, that it, takes away your privilege. There could be some arguments made otherwise about the Second Amendment also in that regard, but I'm referring to the basic person who doesn't have the weapon on their person at the time of the stop.
Yeah, I think it's not constitutional. I don't see any connection between the two.
And yet it happens day in and day out. So, and then the CDL thing is another issue I have. The commercial driver's license. Losing that when you're in an automobile, not during employment, in the operation of that work vehicle, you still lose your CDL. And again, there's liability, insurance involved. It's all about money. There's, these owners of these big companies, I get it. If they have an employee who gets a drunk driving, it's all tied into the insurance, and their rates are going to go up in liability. And often these men and women that you and I represent, they lose their jobs or they get put into other job descriptions at the employer or during their employment because they can no longer operate a motor vehicle. There's too much liability for the owner of the company because that person lost their CDL and no longer, has the ability to operate a motor vehicle.
Good stuff, guys. We got to take a break on the Todd Levitt Law Show. When we come back, more law with attorney William Conklin on the show.
This is attorney Todd L. Levitt here to tell you about my favorite one and only, the only one I go to, M66 Cannabis Company, recreational dispensary right here in the great state of Michigan, central northern Michigan, located at 3023 20 Mile Road, Beaverton, Michigan, between Big Rapids and Mount Pleasant, Michigan. M66 Cannabis Company is frickin' fantastic, folks, from pipes to edibles to flower, 24 different strains. The staff, all locally hired, general manager, knowledgeable, community-oriented, family-owned. Be sure to check out M66 Cannabis Company, Beaverton, Michigan.
Hey, this is Mike Messina, general manager at M66 Cannabis Company out of Barrington, Michigan, off of M66. And I want to personally invite you down to M66 Cannabis Company to come peruse our wide selection of different products, 18 different strains of flower, 29 different types of cartridges, and so much more. We've got everything that you could possibly need and a very well-trained and compassionate staff there to help you find exactly what you're looking for.
That's M66 Cannabis Company, located at 3023 20 Mile Road. That's 3023 20 Mile Road. My favorite recreational dispensary here in Michigan. Be sure to stop in and tell the folks when you get there you heard it right here on the Todd L. Levitt Law Show.
Welcome back to the Todd L. Levitt Law Show, turning it and burning it with AC/DC. Thunderstruck for everyone up in Whittemore who likes that. We've got attorney William Conklin on the phone. Bill, where are you at right now, Bill?
I'm in Charlevoix.
Beautiful. Charlevoix the Beautiful right there on Round Lake. If people wanted...
Beautiful. I was in Traverse City for, 35, 40 years and then moved up to Charlevoix in 2015.
To get away from like all the people in traffic and everything, right?
Well, exactly. I mean, I wanted to get away from the big city and go back to where a town like Traverse City was 40 years ago.
That's right, and that's what Charlevoix is now. So, if people wanted to
it doesn't change.
Yeah, if people want to get a hold of you for your services, what's the best way to do that?
By phone or by email.
Okay.
Email Bill at dwconklin.com. Bill
There you go.
at dwconklin, CONKLIN.com.
That's how you can get a hold of Bill. And we've been talking a lot about recovery and things like that. And are you finding it harder these days to get people to understand what they need to do, or is it getting easier? Is it is there more knowledge out there? I mean, shows like this and the internet, is it making it easier to get people to the kind of recovery that they need?
Well, Craig, what I found in the last 3 or 4 cases that I've had have been more troubling than most, because the most recent was a young man, 21 years old. He got a minor BAC. That means you're not supposed to be drinking prior to 21. So he was 16, got a drinking and driving offense, 0.02. He got charged with OWI minor BAC. It counts as a first drunk driving.
Sure.
He didn't know that, even though it went through he didn't know that it went in going through juvenile court. He thought it was gone. It was off his record. He's in Traverse City. He gets stopped for speeding. Of course, that's a red flag to the bull. Anytime you're in Traverse City past 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, and you're driving 5 over, that's a red flag to a bull. Yeah. He did get stopped. He did get pulled over. He did blow a .12. He did get a second drunk driving, and now his driving privileges for the next 3 years are revoked. So we tried to get him into a sobriety court, where at least after the first 56 days, you could get restrictions. You can't get into sobriety court with a second drunk driving because sobriety court in Traverse City is filled with third drunk drivers, which are high-risk individuals. If you're a low-risk individual, you don't get in. And so I have the same case in Antrim County. I have another case down in Montcalm County. These individuals, they don't and didn't understand the first time they got an arrest that it's death if you get a second. It's not just bad, it's death. You ain't driving for 2-3 years. People have got to get educated that you can't afford. One, okay, my bad, my mistake. You just got to make sure it never, ever happens a second time. Walk.
And we're not, unfortunately, we're not talking about a 35-year-old adult who maybe will understand the gravity of the situation. We're talking about a 16-year-old kid who, like 16-year-old kids do. They think they're going to live forever. They think that nothing's ever going to happen to them, and nothing's ever, they can get their way out of anything because they're young. That's the ignorance of youth, is being able to think that you can get out of anything that happens to you. And next thing you know, a couple of years later, now they're 18, still have the same problem, and they're finding out that the world is not fair when it comes to things like that.
Here, let me just interject something. In Michigan, if your second offense is within 7 years, the prosecutor will each and every time charge it as potentially, it depends on what the first offense was. If the first wasn't impaired and now you got a second OWI, you could be charged with, well, it depends on the nature of the first offense, but if you get an OWI second, you have 2 within 7 years. That carries 5 days to a year in jail. The 5 days is mandatory. And I can name half a dozen counties in this state where the district court judge with a second offense is giving you 6 months in jail.
Yeah, I mean, Todd, these young people, they're not understanding the magnitude of that first offense.
I mean, the young people for sure, but a lot of our clients and my clients are in their 20s, 30s, 40s, not so much 50s, but yeah, second offense is
people who should know better.
Right, but then it goes back to we talked about this week in and week out, especially with you, Bill Conklin, attorney at law, addiction. People have such a strong addiction that, and I'm not saying that, I'm not justifying what they do, but they have such a strong addiction that they make these poor choices once they start to consume alcohol, and it overcomes them. Often they leave their houses, apartments, wherever they live, and they're on the way to the store to buy more alcohol. And yes, are they a risk to putting someone at serious bodily injury or death? We don't want anyone drinking and driving, but unfortunately it exists. But this addiction is so strong that the penalty and the burden and the risk of going to jail or prison or death is doesn't compare to them needing more alcohol and liquor, and they make that drive from home to the store where they unfortunately get pulled over. Well, I mean, thank goodness so they don't kill anybody, not unfortunately, but they end up getting pulled over, and now they got a second or even a third offense.
All right, Todd, I'll give you a story of two different stories. Young men, second drunk driving. One, he comes into breakfast with him and his dad, and I tell him, let's say his name is Mark, you need to stop drinking altogether, give it up, and if you need help to stop, go into a treatment center, go into this, I'll help you in the process. He got mad, red-faced, screamed, yelled, started crying, left. Why would you say that? Why would you say that to me? So upset. Half hour later, comes back, and he said, why did you say that? I said, for your own good. You're a pilot. You have a pilot's license. You're first drunk driving. What happened? He goes, if you get a second, what's going to happen? My career is over. And I said, what's more important, that beer or your career? Now he is driving jets for a major corporation making over $200,000 a year. And he just came back to me 5 years ago and said, Bill, if you hadn't met me and told me what you told me 10 years ago, I wouldn't be where I am today. Story number 2, same age, same guy. Guy says, F you, I can do what I want. 7 years later, no license, he's now looking at prison. It's always a choice. What are you going to do with it?
Very compelling story. And the great thing about you, Mr. Conklin, is that you and others that are part of your family give back so much to those that need to hear a good word or words of encouragement, that everything's going to be okay. And, this is the path that you might want to consider taking. I mean, I know you personally, and I know how much you care about people and their lives, and you give so much and never ask for much in return, if anything at all. So you're a pretty amazing individual there, Mr. Conklin.
Well, that's why we're such good friends, Todd, because, the apple didn't fall very far from, our common tree. So
thank you.
But you know what? Here's the other part of what I took from the two stories he just told is that even though, yes, told was, tried to help people and are trying to do that, but also told him like it is and told him what he needed, like we always, remember the old open to the show, Todd? Sometimes, Little John, hey! Little John would say, Todd's not going to,
we love Little John.
He's not going to tell you what you want to hear. He's going to tell you what you need to hear. That's what that guy, both of those guys, needed to hear was, hey, if you need help and you want to make that choice, I'm going to be here to help you. But you probably need that. And obviously one guy took it the right way and another guy took it the wrong way. But sometimes you got to hear the hard truth. You got to be told, hey, you're screwing your life up. If you really want to continue to screw it up, or how would you like to solve this problem? I'll help you. But you sometimes you got to hear that. They're hard words to say to people, but sometimes they need it.
That's what I love about Bill, Attorney Bill Conklin, is with us in the mothership, is that, and I do the same thing. As lawyers, we don't sugarcoat it. People come to us for representation or potential representation, and Bill, I know, is the same as I am. We tell people what they need to hear, not what they want to hear. And often people will walk away not happy with the advice we're presenting them. I think it's important as an attorney that's experienced in the area in which someone is seeking help that they don't sugarcoat it and you set the proper expectations. And that's important when you're seeking legal representation.
Well, yeah, exactly. I appreciate that, Todd. The young fella from Traverse City, he went back to Eastern Michigan, or one of the schools in that area, and got him into the sobriety court in that county. All he had to do is make sure that there was no alcohol in the house. Unfortunately, he lived with 5 buddies. Those 5 buddies wouldn't make sure there was no alcohol in the house. So he did not enroll in the sobriety court program. He could have had his license in 45 to 60 days. If he wanted to move into a treatment house, in other words, there was housing available that was alcohol-free that he could have moved to, he didn't want to leave his buddies and his obligation to pay rent. So therefore he opted out of the sobriety program at Eastern. Sad situation. He doesn't understand how difficult it's going to be. Let me just give you, for the audience, I've been a coach. I've been, standing along individuals. I just want everyone to know there is no such word as I can't. If you want to be honest with yourself, you can say, I don't want to. I don't want to do what it takes. I don't want to invest. I don't want to pay the cost. But there's no such word as I can't. That is a cop-out, and it's a lie to yourself and everyone around you. Don't give me any reasons about your stature, your race, your culture, your anything. Todd Levitt is proof there's no such word as I can't. It's just, are you going to invest, and are you going to sacrifice, and are you going to do what it takes to get what you want to accomplish a goal? Don't ever settle for I can't.
Yeah.
Motivational speaker Bill Conklin, everybody.
Well said, Bill Conklin. And thank
Agreed.
you for those words. And again, do not feel sorry for yourself and stop blaming everybody else for where you could take your future. The future
Amen.
and your destiny is in your hands. And it is and can be whatever it is you want it to be. And exactly what Bill just said. Very poignant and well-spoken, Bill. Thank you for that.
Mm-hmm. You're welcome.
Gentlemen, we have to take a break on the Todd L. Levitt Law Show. We come back, we'll wrap the show up next.
This is attorney Todd L. Levitt here to tell you about my favorite one and only, the only one I go to, M66 Cannabis Company, recreational dispensary right here in the great state of Michigan, central northern Michigan, located at 3023 20 Mile Road, Beaverton, Michigan, between Big Rapids and Mount Pleasant, Michigan. M66 Cannabis Company is frickin' fantastic, folks, from pipes to edibles to flower, 24 different strains. The staff, all locally hired, general manager, knowledgeable, community-oriented, family-owned. Be sure to check out M66 Cannabis Company, Beaverton, Michigan.
Hey, this is Mike Messina, general manager at M66 Cannabis Company out of Barrington, Michigan, off of M66. And I want to personally invite you down to M66 Cannabis Company to come peruse our wide selection of different products, 18 different strains of flower, 29 different types of cartridges, and so much more. We've got everything that you could possibly need and a very well-trained and compassionate staff there to help you find exactly what you're looking for.
That's M66 Cannabis Company, located at 3023 20 Mile Road. That's 3023 20 Mile Road. My favorite recreational dispensary here in Michigan. Be sure to stop in and tell the folks when you get there you heard it right here on the Todd L. Levitt Law Show.
Welcome back to the Todd L. Levitt radio show here at the mothership. William M. Conklin joining alongside my fraternity brother, Todd L. Levitt, and Craig, the Hustle Russell.
There we go.
That was okay.
Yeah. Hey, Bill, I'm going to tell you, we've had a lot of people bring us back like that. You've done better than most. I'm going to tell you that. So there you go.
Hey, Bill, I got a question for you. In the first segment, I mentioned that I would love to get permission from our wives to take a spring break trip that you and I missed out on about 40-plus years ago. I thought you, Craig, and I could go to Daytona Beach and hang out on the beach and have a good time. What do you think? Can we have an adult spring break?
I'd love it. I'd love it.
Okay.
Sure, that'd be awesome. I'd love it.
I stayed at the Carnival Hotel in Daytona Beach in the 80s with the fraternity. So there you go.
I think it'll be a different atmosphere these days, to be really honest. But
you think so?
I think maybe.
You haven't hung out with Bill and I, though. I don't care
That's
how
true.
old we are. We're fraternity guys. We could bring it. Trust me.
Well, I'm your pledge, remember? So I understand.
You are a pledge.
That's right.
I just want to say one thing briefly. I know we have to end the show here, but we so much appreciate having you on, Bill Conklin, attorney at law. And next week we have Jackie coming on the show. She's an attorney who's going to provide the audience with information regarding wills and trust and proper estate planning for everyone out there. That's important, so be sure to check out that show. But I just want to state that from a very early age, I was very aware that anything and everything that I was involved in, alcohol, liquor, and beer were part of it. I mean, it's promoted on every level at sporting events, professional events, weddings, parties, graduations, retirement parties. I mean, alcohol is so prevalent in our lives from such a young age. It's almost like society is hypocritical. It's hypocritical because here's all this liquor, beer, and alcohol, have at it on every level of sponsorship. And on the other hand, look what happens to quite a few number of individuals, at least in our lifetime, that we've been in contact with as lawyers, who become addicted and bad things happen. So I don't know. I think about that once in a while. I don't focus too much on it, but there's a lot of hypocrisy right there.
I totally agree with it because I'm being raised an Irish Catholic. I mean, every aunt and uncle, and I had over 100 of them.
Wow.
I mean, the way they drank every family get-together since I can remember. And so it was normal for me, and therefore, when I'm 15, 16, 17, what do you think is going to be normal? I'm going to drink just like my uncles and my dad and everybody else that I know in my family. And so it was a major problem until finally it's like light bulb goes on in 94, and I said, I'm done.
Couldn't agree more, Mr. Conklin, William Conklin in Charlevoix the Beautiful. Again, if people want to get a hold of you, what's your phone number? We haven't given out your phone number yet.
231-499-5606.
If you want to get Bill Conklin in your life and help you with what you need help with, he is the man. Mr. Conklin, we appreciate you coming on the show.
So much, Bill.
Yep, we'll definitely have you back for sure.
Love you, Bill.
Well, I appreciate the honor of sharing time with you, Todd and Craig. It's always my pleasure. It's an honor.
We'll have you back on real soon also. You're a regular now.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure if that's good or bad, but it's true. Yes.
Well, I want to also let you know, I pick and choose, and I don't take a lot of cases. So always call Todd Levitt first. And if he is unavailable or you need somebody up in the North Country, I'll consider it. But I am winding down in my practice. I'm not building up. So, I pick and choose the cases I take.
Absolutely. Yeah, give us a call, and happy to assist you and whatever we can do. Craig, I think that's it. We have to go.
Show's over, Todd. Let's go.
Craig, we're not here for a long time. We're here for a good time. I'm not just a litigator. I'm an advocator, and I'm not going to tell you, as Bill will do the same, what you want to hear. We're going to tell you what you need to hear. Take us out with a little AC/DC, Beavis and Butthead style.
The Todd L. Levitt Law Show, brought to you by Clerk Modular Homes of Mount Pleasant, Rusty Gold Antiques in Everett, Chad Malley Well Drilling of Rosebush, Clear Vision Windows, Siding, and Roofing of Midland, and attorney Todd L. Levitt.
Opinions expressed on this radio program do not necessarily reflect the views of this radio station.